It's food o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we have a Mayflower beef and broccoli noodles to show you. Picked this up in B&M Bargains. It's 400 grams. B&M Bargains, you've got two types of stores, two types of B&M Bargains. The first one is the large stores where you can get anything from a pillow to something in the garden centre. You can buy a little bit of food, not so much food. Well, I'd say not so much, I mean fresh food. You can buy all sorts of kind of Maltesers, and also you can buy anything in this big B&M, so even furniture, garden furniture, fire pits, that sort of thing. Wintertime you can buy all sorts of Christmas trees. It's one of those kind of pound stretcher type shops. The other B&M is a curious one because they're like B&M food stores. So it's almost like they're competing in the kind of farm foods, Iceland type arena where there's a lot of freezers in there. And that's where I picked this up. It was £1.50. It goes in the oven for 30 minutes. Take the film off, give it a stir, put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. First of all, piercing. You've got to pierce that kind of film first. And I've had a couple. I've had the chicken and chili noodles, salt and pepper chicken noodles. They were good. I've had a couple of other things from Mayflower. We've had their curry sauces, which was very good. Their gravy and chips. And what was the other one? Beans and chips, or cheese and chips, I think it was. All kind of, I mean, I prefer the noodle dishes. They're rather good. The cheese and chips were okay. So let's get this in the oven and see what we get. Right, here is this beef and broccoli. There's the packaging. You don't, well, I suppose you get a little sense of what these noodles and the beef looks like. This is the real thing. And I've mixed it up and I've kind of done my best with this. But what it seems to be, I can't quite work out if it's that kind of beef you get in kebab shops, like a beef kebab type meat, or they've actually just put some mincemeat in this container. What I'm going to do though, of course, is tip it out onto the plate so you can see. What we've got here. It's all a bit, as you can see, it's all a bit stuck to the packaging. It took longer to cook as well. It took, that's about as much, the most I'm going to get out of it. The rest of it is stuck. It took about 55 minutes to cook. After the 40 minutes, which they suggested, or the 30 minutes, give it a stir. It was still frozen, so I had to give it a lot more time to cook. I mean, looking at it like this now, all mixed up on a plate, actually, it doesn't look too bad. And we got to remember, it was only around £1.50 to buy this meal. So it looks like we got some, I think they're bean sprouts. Bit of bean sprout. Lots of broccoli. A nice kind of, it's not a bad start actually. It looks a lot better on a plate than it did in that plastic packaging. I've got to be honest, I was a little bit scared when I got it out of the oven. I was thinking, what's this? The noodles are okay too. I made a mistake once of microwaving one of these noodles packs, and it just wasn't very nice. The noodles just went really kind of springy and almost kind of rubber like. But in the oven, in the oven, they're not too bad. They're not too bad. I mean, granted, if you want a proper kind of Chinese meal like this, or Asian meal like this, then you're best off going to your local takeaway. But if you're on a bit of a budget and you haven't got much cash, or you want to have a meal at work that you can just bang in the microwave, then this could be the answer. Loads of veg and loads of carrots, loads of peas. Gonna get into this beef. A little bit scared of the beef, if I'm honest. Oh. Actually, there's nothing to be scared about. It's got a really nice flavour to it. It's got the consistency of mincemeat, but with like a black bean sauce. It's got a black bean sauce taste to it. Let's get some beef and some noodles and some veg. All of a sudden, with all of the flavours combined, this is not a bad dish, you know. This is not a bad dish. You could, I mean, if I wasn't reviewing it, would I have turned my nose up to it? Would I have bought it? Probably not. But I'm actually really pleased I have now, because ready meals are slowly but surely really improving. Even ready meals in bargain shops are pretty decent these days. When I was growing up in the 1980s, early 1990s, if you bought yourself a ready meal in a cheap kind of pound stretcher type place, you were asking for trouble. Remember those old kind of Vespa curries? They were terrible. So things have come a long way, I think. Things have definitely come a long way. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm actually quite enjoying this. As weird as it sounds. Beef and broccoli. Who would have thought that worked? Red pepper. It's the underlying kind of flavour of the beef that's making this work. That kind of black bean kind of beef. And the more I'm mixing this meal round, the more that the beef is breaking up and making its way into the noodles. That's all right. So, for £1.50, let's check the ingredients, make sure there's no... this might be a little bit of a letdown for some. Right. There is, let's count them very quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 E numbers. If you're a little bit kind of worried about E numbers, if you prefer not to have E numbers in your diet, then there's 4 E numbers in this dish, which might be a slight worry for people. But for £1.50, I'm going to rate this Mayflower beef and broccoli noodles from B&M Bargains. It's alright, you know, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. I'm going to finish these. I promise I'm not going to give them to the dog. I'm going to finish them. Thanks for watching. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer and food reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom. Cheers.